So you're running your agency and you've been doing it for a couple of months, and then you get to this place where you're thinking to yourself, man, I've been working so hard for so many months and I'm not getting the traction I need. Well, if that's you, this video is going to tune you in because we're going to cover the 5 major causes of failure in sales for your agency. What's happening, FlowChat Connector? Bam! Sean back at you here with another high-ticket tune-up for you to become a master at working and building your agency. I'm excited to continue the Building Your Agency series here in 2022. Today's question came in from Tyra. She asked this. She says, Sean, how do I level up my leadership in my agency for my sales team? And there's a couple of things that I want to cover today. Specifically, I'm going to the negative side because I think being aware of the reasons of failure is almost more important than doing the right things, because once you're aware of what's wrong, or maybe not what's wrong, but you're aware of the reasons that lead to the demise of your agency and your results of your sales and revenue, then you can make some changes. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Let's dive into the show. So what are the 5 major causes of failure in sales? Well, the first one, very simply, is a lack of organization. If you're running your agency and every day you come down and you start your day in basically put out fires mode, there's some issues there. And so the first thing we got to remember is everyone is always going to be putting out fires. In fact, I heard one of the best definitions of management was an interruption interrupted by a series of interruptions is the definition of management, right? So if you're in that reactive mode and you're not in the proactive mode, the first thing we want to talk about is finding some time on your calendar to set up systems that will help you to get organized. But let's talk about this. The successful sales pro or agency owner must master the details connected with her position. So again, when it comes to the sales side of your agency, we need systems in place. This is why systems like FlowChat can help solve the problem. So if you're struggling with, again, looking at the 5 core functions of your business, you've got lead gen, lead nurture, conversion, delivery, fulfillment, and then retention and resell. Let me say it again. Lead gen, lead nurture, conversion is the 3rd one, delivery, fulfillment is the 4th one, and retention and resell is the 5th one. And if you are struggling with the organization of your prospecting efforts, which would include the lead gen, lead nurture into the conversion stages, FlowChat's definitely a ringer for you. Book a call. There'll be a link below this in the description here that you can book a call with our team. Would love to see if our system would help you. Secondly, the second major cause of failure in sales for your agency is going to be the unwillingness to act, right? Now, most people get a little bit hesitant when they have to go close deals or make sales if they haven't been doing it for a long time, and that's okay. But check this out. You must be willing to perform any action or task you would ask another to perform. So if you want a sales team, you better have at least created a sale for you, right? And so the idea is don't delegate a task unless you'd be willing to do it for yourself, your time permitting. Now, conversion, if we're looking at the 5 core functions of a business, does come down to sales. If you don't want to do sales any longer, you must have at least done a couple of sales, and then find somebody that you can bring onto your team and walk them through how you were able to get it to happen. Then they can take that and build on your foundation. So you must be willing to act. You must be willing to do the things that you would ask anybody else to do. Another one. Number 3, expecting pay for knowledge. This one hurt me really bad when I first got into the online space about 6 years ago. I remember I started binge watching all of these courses. Melissa and I would go out and we'd buy all these courses and we would just binge watch them all and try to absorb all the knowledge. And then we would never do anything. We'd just sit there and be like, I know so much, right? And what happened to us is we kind of got annoyed with the people that we were working with at the time, the people we were serving, because we had just absorbed all this knowledge way more than they had known because they hadn't been in the space yet. It was just experience. And we were getting frustrated because they didn't go through the same learning journey as we did. And so it wasn't until I learned that instead of just expecting pay for knowledge, the world does not pay men. This one comes directly out of the Think and Grow Rich book. The world does not pay men for that which they know. It pays them for what they do or induce others to do. Very important, right? So we are paying, or we get paid for the application of our knowledge. And that was the catalyst that I needed. Russell Brunson actually helped me with that. He said, it's not just how much you know, it's what you do with what you know that actually counts. And then I read the book again. And I was like, oh, well, there it is right there in the book. So you might be one of the smartest course study guide reader people ever. And that's great. And I applaud you for that because you've taken the time to learn it. But the next step is we need to step over the action threshold and we need to start putting that knowledge to use. And that will become when dollars will become the byproduct of what you're doing. Number 4 is the fear of becoming obsolete, right? Some people are growing businesses and they have leaders coming up in those businesses that they, like a best example I could think of is if you have the, 45, 50-year-old sales pro, and then you have this new superstar young kid right out of college that's 22, 23 years old that has more energy than anybody. This 45, 50-year-old sales pro is going to feel like they're going to be replaced. And it happens in corporations all the time. This is why another reason I love entrepreneurship, because if you are that person, look, there's no, you have control over that whole scenario. And so again, entrepreneurship, I love it. I'll scream it from the top of the mountains. But when it comes to fear of being obsolete, one of the things we got to think about is this: your competitors will only surpass you, right? Because it happens with, some people are fearful of somebody in the organization making them obsolete and taking their position and moving on. I've seen that happen a lot of times. The other thing is if you're running your own agency, you're going to be fearful of, oh man, are the competitors taking over the space, right? This is when we take the blinders off and we started looking around at the whole scenario and we're like, oh man, like I should probably put those on. Now, what I suggest here is stay focused on the goal that you're trying to achieve. And if you stop learning and you stop applying the knowledge you're learning, you will be passed. And it's just a fact, right? So if you don't want to become obsolete, make sure that you're continuing to learn every single day and you're applying that knowledge. And then, here's another little fact for you, right? So don't be fearful or upset or mad at yourself. Give yourself grace if you're not creating the kind of cash flow that you want to create right now, right? The reason I say that is because look at Thomas Edison, one of the greatest inventors of all time. He has over 1,000 patents, as you probably know. He created the light bulb and a lot of other cool things. He didn't make the bulk of his fortune until after he turned 60. So look at your age. What age are you, right? If you're not 60 yet, man, you probably still have a lot of runway to crush, right? So just keep that in mind, but keep learning, keep applying the knowledge. And then the last one is this one, selfishness. We need to avoid selfishness at all costs. How do we do it? Well, if you take credit for the work of your team will resent you. This is one of the leadership traits that I think everybody should have. As we kind of talk about this, when you do something great, it wasn't your effort, even though the majority of it was probably your effort. It was the team's effort, right? We just want to reframe that and say, no, my team is actually so supportive, so good. So they made sure that I was in the right place. They took care of my calendar. They did all this other stuff. And guess what? Your team is going to start loving you, right? When something doesn't go well, it's your fault. Right? As the agency owner, you want to take responsibility for all and credit for not very much, maybe none, right? So just the last thing to think about there as we go. And that is the last thing here I'll share is this. Art Williams, he's a billionaire. He started a company called Primerica. Now it's called Primerica. And he used to say this. He actually wrote a book called Pushing People Up. So push other people up in your organization, even if they only had a small part of the action, right? This is actually a selflessness move instead of a selfish move. So always be pushing other people up on your team. That's very, very valuable and important. This will create tribe and culture, and it will allow your agency to flourish. And with that said, my friends, you've just been tuned up. I'm excited about it. I hope it helped you today. Make sure and hit that like button. Share this out to some other people. Feed the algorithm God so more people can get this information. It's really valuable. With that said, look, I look forward to seeing you next time, and we'll definitely kick ass then. Talk soon.